Welcome to this episode on Egypt on your bucket list. Past Egypt travelers share why. I am feeling just all the excitement and open-heartedness to be here together with some of our folks that traveled with us to Egypt in 2024. As you may know, Egypt still remains one of my top 5 experiences in my life. And we've been now, I don't know, 14 times, and every time is just an extraordinary experience. So I am here with Robin, Killu, Denise, and Catherine. Hello, everyone. So glad you're here.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, so I'm actually feeling like bringing in the guides for a minute or two just to set the space, and then we can dive into our conversation about why we've got the Egypt wanderlust, the Egypt traveling bug. So just inviting in the guides here. Hello, dear ones. This is Thoth and Isis moving more into the forefront of this divine transmission. And we are gathering here to bring forward an energy of heart wisdom, an energy of heart wisdom, the energy of wisdom and the energy of the heart. For journeying into Egypt and physically going to Egypt is a journey of traveling within the line of your wisdom and the line of heart wisdom, the line of love and the line of wisdom. And so we're bringing in this blend of heart wisdom because there are many reasons that individuals are drawn to journey to Egypt. And one is to tap into that inner knowing, that inner heart wisdom, the connections that you may have from past lives, as well as your curiosity in this life, to be accessing higher consciousness, to be accessing the sacred geometry, to be accessing the love and light languages that are in the hieroglyphs, to be accessing the communal field of the group that gathers, to be bringing to a place of completion past initiations that you may not have completed, or to be growing in your adeptness. There are many reasons that Egypt is calling or Egypt is on the bucket list. So, as we're diving into this conversation with our beloved adepts who have traveled with us to Egypt, we wanted to bring in the energy of heart wisdom as an invitation for those of you tuning in to drop into more deeply your own heart wisdom. Because it is from there that you may sense that you have a divine appointment with Egypt. So we'll continue to be in the field, yet we'll step aside. All is light and love, and we are all. Hmm. Good. Thank you. Ooh, so felt like the guides were sharing some possible reasons why one may be called to Egypt. And so I'd love to hear from each of you if you can remember what may have called you originally to Egypt, and also just to share a little bit about your experience in Egypt. So, yeah, Kilu, would you kick us off?
Sure. Um, so, first of all, this was such a powerful trip, such a powerful experience. I am still processing it. And this is now, what is it, 8 months? 8 months since it, and it's all very good. Of course, it's been that rich. It was my second time in Egypt, so I already knew that I wanted to go back. And then having done work with you, Danielle, and with this group was really it felt right, and it didn't always feel right. I mean, I tend to doubt and resist, and I think that's just one of my patterns. And then in the in the connection with a deeper self, I just at some point asked, well, what's the truth here? Like, what do I really want? On the picture, on the big picture, on the life level big picture, put aside the money and time and inconvenience and, is this the right month and the right year and all of that? And then from there, it was an easy answer. Absolutely. On the level of a life, absolutely. Is this the time? Absolutely. And that was pretty much as easy as it was. And then the trip, of course, was, I think, pretty predictably above, beyond, and different from expectations and from, whatever I may have already experienced and loved about Egypt the first time. And it's hard to put in words, but I think that looking at every single person that I was with in, the different times, different places, there is a richness to Egypt that happens on many different levels, many different dimensions of us. And then it translates further in life. And so from that perspective, I think wherever we are in life, there's probably no wrong time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And is there a particular like memory or time at the temple or something you sensed?
Yeah.
Our topic on your trip and also our topic for our next trip was relationships. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for me, very powerful places were the Isis Temple. Surprisingly, Red Pyramid, I had never been there. And there were experiences that are hard to put in words, but that I will carry with me. And it's just sort of entering these different parallel dimensions of reality is the only way that I can verbally describe it, while also being very much embodied and present. And then also in the Great Pyramid, particularly in some special places that we got to go to in the Great Pyramid. And really how every temple is different, and every place is different, how the Nile is, has her own wisdom working us. So
Mm-hmm.
there's many different moments. And in terms of the relationships, my this year working, and I came from working with you, Danielle, also on embodiment in the Sahu program. And so this year very much has been on embodiment in this physicality of all the different dimensions and relationships that I carry and have access to. And so that has continued throughout the year. And it was such a strong and powerful um, anchoring and landing point. And at the same time, it's sort of a radiating point, right? I can forget, like, I don't think of Egypt every day, but it comes up fairly often, and it comes up almost independently of me in a way, as a reminder of this or that. And that happens when you have a strong experience of sort of becoming. And I think it's a becoming more oneself in relation to one's life and, this embodiment and everything around. And sorry if I cannot put it in words, but hopefully it's in that right direction, because it was a very powerful trip.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oof. Well, this idea of, Egypt on your bucket list, or we often say Egypt is calling, or a journey of a lifetime or lifetimes. So there is so much to share. Yeah. So Catherine, how about you? You've come with us twice to Egypt. What's on your heart to share about your experience and to someone who may be considering joining us?
Um, yeah, I would echo everything Killu has said. And in answer to your question, I think if if you're listening to this, then it's possibly on your bucket list at some level. And you're if you're getting kind of like a heart calling, since we've dropped into the wisdom of the heart, then I would follow that heart wisdom and kind of like know that kind of that the path to go, if that's part of the concern, or part of the kind of like the resistance, maybe the resistance coming up, that path will open once you choose to go. And from a personal experience of having been to Egypt twice with Danielle and actually once with another leader as well. So I've been 3 times. Each time is richer. Each time I feel like my sense of myself kind of as a multidimensional being, or it gets enlivened and gets deepened. And my understanding of why I'm there kind of gets more activated. And so what I experience and pick up for myself, and then to kind of bring through and is kind of broadened and deepened and enlivened. And in some ways, the unpacking of Egypt, I think, is a lifetime. And it's not necessarily, well, for me personally, it's not necessarily concrete. Like I can't go, that was this is a result of Egypt, so to speak. It's more that my sense of myself just continues to unpack my relationship with beings of light and light, and work that I do, and everything becomes it's like the field of my understanding of what really interests me, which is spirituality, which is kind of, kind of the new paradigm of consciousness, seems to get experientially richer and deeper, and I get a more cognitive understanding through that as well. And I'd say one of the highlights for me in Egypt is the Temple of Philae and the Great Pyramid.
Yeah. And is there anything that you'd share? Because if somebody hasn't gone, they don't know, that we're on the boat, or that we do meditations in the temple, or that we dance with the Egyptians, that like those kind of daily things. Yeah, or a memory.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, actually, when you mentioned dancing with the Egyptians, yeah, the Egyptians, the memory of the heart-centeredness, the welcoming, the fun, also the of the Egyptian people is extraordinary. And also I think the memory of like the pacing, like I didn't feel like yes, it's very, very full and very, very rich, but it also felt like there was downtime. So there was time to integrate, or time to have relationships, or time to speak to people. I mean, there were lots of surprising things, I think is one way to put it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hot and it's a little challenging physically in some ways. Yeah, but I think that's a really beautiful memory, is dancing with the Egyptians. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm remembering back in the day, and we haven't done this in a long time. Our Egyptologist at the time was like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna ride donkeys." And my mom came with us to Egypt 4 times, and I was like, "Mom, you do not need to ride a donkey," And she was like, "I want to ride a donkey," and so that's one of the things to me, like we just never know where our spiritual advancement is going to come from, or our expansion is going to come from. Sometimes it's when folks are like shopping in the bazaar, or when they're riding the donkey, or when they're speaking to a guard, or of the temples, or that the being with one another in the group. So there can just be so many of those little glimpses that really add up to it being a trip of a lifetime. And I've heard consistently from folks over the years, like, just to be so well taken care of, because we're often so self-resilient, is a game changer. Like to just be, like we just have to show up at a certain time with our bag, and we have these amazing partners that handle the logistics, and that can be so deeply transformational. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Robin, how about you?
Well, it was, yeah, for me, it was an experience of a lifetime. I had done very little traveling for the previous 10 years, basically. And yeah, got to know you a bit, I think, just through email correspondence and things like that. But, just, and this opportunity for the trip came up, and just this feeling came in that just, I've got to go on this trip, and so yeah, sort of put aside any concerns and followed my heart and stepped up. And yeah, just everything I expected and so much more. It was, I'd felt a draw to Egypt for a long time and hadn't really answered the call until now. And then, well, this year. And yeah, it was just things came in, just being there was this huge, well, emotional experience, but all this kind of, like a heart opening. And it's since then, like things have just, it was like a catalyst. It was like something that started this whole other process for me of awakening and things that have happened since then. And yeah, which has been amazing. And the trip itself was the beginning of that. And just meeting everybody and just this wonderful group of souls, of beautiful beings, and spending the time with you and everyone, and the amazing places we visited. Yeah, it was this huge uh influx and expansion that it was a catalyst, as I say, just sort of hoping or helping to open up this part of me that I knew was there, and is starting and continuing to open now. And it was, just an amazing experience traveling to the different temples and the pyramids, and as the others have said, meeting the wonderful people both on the trip and in Egypt as well, everyone who was around us, and whether we were directly interacting with them or not, or just everybody was so friendly and accommodating and beautiful in Egypt itself. And in the places we visited, just the energies in each one were different and fantastic. And for me personally, one of the highlights was the Philae Temple when we were there, and in the sunrise and just things like that. And then some of the temples and the pyramids where we were doing, toning and sounds in them, and just the resonance and sound has always been a big thing for me and continues to be. And yeah, just the energies that came from all aspects of the trip and sharing them with everyone. And yeah, it's just been, was an amazing experience on the trip, and it has been and continues to be built upon from other experiences I've had and continue to have since. It's just amazing. And I would recommend it to anyone. If you're feeling at all called to do it, I would say just follow your heart, and yeah, you will not regret anything.
Yeah, thank you. And I remember for you too, if you're okay with me sharing, I feel like you are, that your voice and sound and your gifts and, like your contribution, that was one of the themes too of reconnecting to who it is that you naturally are and your voice and expressing that. Yeah. So would you agree that that was part of your personal transformation?
Absolutely, yes. It's again, it's like a catalyst that's begun that, and then during the trip, and then since the trip, I mean, yeah, my voice, my throat, all chakras, I guess, but everything started to open up, and it was like this energies that were in Egypt helped that happen, and then some other pretty wild stuff has happened since as well, to do with like past life memories. And more recently, I took a short trip to Florida because I'd felt drawn to go there and hadn't been there. But then during that trip, a bunch of stuff, even, I mean, from like Atlantis kind of memories and stuff came up, and it felt like it connects with Egypt, and Egypt had been the initial thing that awakened that. And now it's like all this other stuff has started to come up, and yeah, it was like the beginning of that, which is, yeah, we all seem to have connections to that. And yeah, anyone who feels drawn to go to Egypt, I would say, yeah, go for it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, and also, like you said, that we hadn't met or done previous work together or and there were others. It felt like a beautiful combination in that group of like folks that we never met, and then folks that have, that we've partnered with for a while over the years. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, as personal growth, I'm not saying in all ways, but it tends to be a lot of women. And my beloved husband Friedman, he partners and goes with us. And on that trip, right, there were a handful of men too. Yeah, I know sometimes like, yeah, how was that being in that group with there was some couples, some singles, women, men.
It's beautiful because, yes, I mean, the masculine energy was there as well. And then this whole, well, age of Aquarius and all of that we're moving into now, and the divine feminine. So it was a wonderful feeling of the rise of the feminine and the balance of the masculine that's in there. But yeah, that all together with the women and the men, it felt like it was, even though proportionally there were more women on the trip than the men, that felt right, and feels right. And for the men as well, I believe it's helping us more embrace the feminine in the masculine within each of us. And it felt like this amazing kind of rising and balancing of the masculine and the feminine. And yeah, as a man on the trip, for me, that was beautiful as well as part of the experience. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, all right, Denise, another double dipper.
Yes. And I went twice. I've gone twice with Danielle. And the first time she put the invitation out, I'm like, Egypt? I never thought about going to Egypt. And then it was like something clicked. So as I'm hearing, people are saying if you hear that, if you hear that call, that to really listen to it. And then I went the second time with you, and honestly, I can't imagine going with anyone else because, like you were saying, everything is like I didn't know what to expect, and I just really felt like I just need to show up, like, and everything was taken care of, like where we stay near the Great Pyramids, and then we're on a houseboat, and then we stop at the temples along the way, and all the people that we meet, it's all there. It's all we show up, and whatever we allow as far as transformation and experiences, like that's our part that we bring to it. And then of course on both trips, like different people, except for Catherine, I met, and we've been friends ever since. And it's like you make these amazing friendships, and there's a connection with everybody who goes, and then there's maybe a deeper connection with some others, and yet it's all like this sacred geometry, and it's this calling of a very specific group to be together and then to contribute. So also knowing that, like, if you're feeling that call, that you are an integral part of the whole that comes together to whatever's being done, because it's like there's this receiving as you go to the temple, but also we are contributing individually and as a group to Egypt and to the temples and to the people, and they're and they to us, and I mean, I just like there were so many new experiences for me, like the organized chaos of their traffic and how perfect it is, and then like just the kindness, the heart-centeredness of the people, and also that along with you and Friedemann, you have these Egyptian adepts that lead us, that have everything taken care of. I mean, we can walk into a temple. We have these special arrangements for going to places, going to these temples where nobody else is there. And it just happened for me that, you know, I was celebrating my birthday and we were in the Great Pyramid. And I just remember seeing 5:55 in the morning, and 5's my number. And it's just like, you can't even make the notes, because you can make the notes of everything, all your experiences every day, and yet it's so multidimensional, and it's so transformative, and it's yummy, it's exciting, it's unexpected, and then it just keeps growing and unfolding. So and I didn't really have, like, I only know about Egypt through what I've learned from you, and then in working with you, Danielle, then Thoth has stepped forward, like, you know me, you remember me. But there's, you know, a lot of people like know the Egyptian pantheon, and one of the gals that was on our last trip, like, she has been working with them since she was a child, and just so there's so many different aspects, and also just the relationships, the sharing, the love, it's just I can't imagine doing it with anyone else. That's all I could say. Yeah.
Well, you're really highlighting something that was, you know, I was tuning into, which is the co-creative energy. And to me, that's where the magic happens. And those that are guided to join us, there is that simultaneity of giving, receiving, and having, and that we have the opportunity to partner with one another and to share. Or, you know, I was thinking about our sailing day on the boat and how, you know, it's not just Friedman and I sharing our gifts, but there's so many amazing healers and light leaders, and, you know, sharing your work and contributing to one another and in the circles. And so it really is, to me, an extension of co-creation, and, you know, Denise too, like, and as I've seen you, just seeing you stepping into even more of that leadership energy and your contribution, and, you know, the exchange, and that everybody has a part of the sequence. So being an integral part of the community is really something extraordinary about it. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, our private sailing yacht is just amazing. Like, when I first started going to Egypt, we were on a big cruise ship, and it was just another thing, right? Because you have this deeply transformational experience at the temple, and then you go back to the buffet line with hundreds of people who are, you know, like, it's just another thing. So I really love the cocoon of our private sailing yacht, and that we can have the time for downtime and processing and the circles, and be able to be in that deep heart wisdom space. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting excited about going again. Okay, so Rita, welcome. Thank you. What would you share about Egypt being a journey of a lifetime?
Well, as everyone's been sharing, I've been imagining this, how many of us, or at least for myself, Egypt, from even when you're a child, oh, it's this place with these triangular shapes, a flat two-dimensional picture in a picture book, and then maybe later a travel brochure, flat, two-dimensional, and, you know, facts of interest, etc. And, you know, come here, do this, da 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 da. But this trip was as if this brochure had various folds and openings and three-dimensional. It just was so alive, so moving, and at once an exquisite adventure, and yet also a sense of a cocoon sort of familiarity. The to travel with fascinating people, other humans that are just a trip in themselves. And then to be sort of embraced not only by the expertise of yourself and Friedemann, but your contacts in terms of our terrific guides who know their stuff, but also have created their own relationships all along the way, so that at every moment I felt like we were being invited into a family reunion, if you will, or friends acknowledging old friends. It was just really, really heartwarming to see. We were able to get insight into local life and ways that it feels like going to a family reunion. Only there's no big arguments across the table, I guess you could say. Which isn't to say that's what my family reunions are like, or anyone's has to be. But there was that aspect that to me was just so nurturing and wonderful, very, very down to earth, and yet so uniquely on a whole other level. When riding along in a bus to a various site in so early in the day that it would feel like nighttime, to have your voice, Danielle, come across the intercom. And by the way, these buses and all of our travel accommodations were so comfortable. It's like top notch, top notch. I almost want to go back to get on a donkey. But to have your unique relationship transmitted to us as a group and as individuals, it was like we were had a unique you had your ticket to ride, so to speak, but then you got a very special personal hand stamp as well that opened what we were about to experience in the different temples, or what was going to unfold in the day, as just a real, it's like that was the cherry on top. And so this beautiful combination of beautiful planning, but incredible spontaneity as well. That just, to me, again, this colorful brochure, it's not a flat 2D thing at all. We're talking holographic, on and on. So that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I just remember us, like for me, and I feel like the group, we shared this as well, like just being kids, like crawling around on the playground of these huge temples. And so there's also that childlike exploration energy that I really feel, and the blessing to be in a group of heart-centered individuals who are on a path of kindness and joy and love and inner transformation. And it does feel like a few of you and all of us have shared too, just the connection that we have to our Egyptologist and our friend who, we've known now for 20 years, who we partner with there, and their loving energy as well. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming with us to Egypt, for taking the time to share why Egypt has been a journey of a lifetime for you. And I'm really looking forward to our next Egypt journey of many lifetimes. So for those of you tuning in, if you're feeling called to journey with us to Egypt, I invite you to take that first step and find out more. Egypt is calling. And I'm going for my 15th scoop or whatever it is. There's just more to be garnered. So thank you, everyone. Sending much love, and bye for now.